Welcome, everyone. We'll call the meeting of the Madison City Commission to order for the meeting of May 29th, 2012. Jeff, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Delzer?
Here.
Commissioner Erickson?
Here.
Commissioner Waldner?
Here.
Commissioner Abraham?
Here.
Mayor Hexum?
Here. Yeah, the minutes of the May 21st meeting is a part of your record. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the last meeting?
I did see one.
Yeah,
There was a motion made by, second. Under the carnival, second by Commissioner Marco.
Whoops. Okay.
I think I was the second on it. but-
Okay.
We better get an extra chair up here.
He's not here again.
Yes, I see that.
That was the one.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 21st as amended.
Second.
Okay, a motion is made and seconded that we approve the minutes of the May 21st meeting as amended. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. You have the agenda for this meeting before you. Are there any changes to the agenda? With your permission, I would like to have a very brief announcement under announcements at the end of the meeting.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. We have several items under appearances, acknowledgments, and correspondence. But when we get to the time of 5:35, we do have a hearing on the malt beverage license renewal. So we'll take these in order, and that'll give us about 3 minutes or better before we have to move to the hearing. So number one, under appearances, acknowledged letter from FEMA regarding flood hazard determination. Chad, do you have any information you want to share on this?
Briefly, Mr. Mayor, this simply makes the LOMR, or the change in the map, formal down at the treatment plant. There was a berm put around the plant to protect the infrastructure investment there. That's the long and short of it through many.
It's a specific area, approximately 620 feet downstream of 4th Street to the confluence with Lake Madison.
Correct.
That is, okay, so we have written confirmation of that. Any questions on the part of the commissioners, or? I think we should acknowledge the letter, though.
I'll move to acknowledge the letter from FEMA regarding the flood hazard determination.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we acknowledge the letter from FEMA regarding the flood hazard determination. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Number two, under appearances, acknowledgments, and correspondence, Dick Wiedemann has asked for time to discuss sheet roofing. Mr. Wiedemann is here. Would you like to come forward and use the microphone for the meeting?
Okay. I just want to pass this around, just briefly, just take a quick look at it and pass it back around.
Why don't you go ahead if you want to, Dick?
Well,
We'll get it.
I want, just briefly, just pass that.
Yep. Going as fast as I can.
I think the front cover is probably the most important. I'll go real quick on this then. I have a permit to put this roof on. Okay, I've gone through the proper channels, and I do have a permit, so. It's fiberglass is what it is. It's corrugated. I think one of your members of this group was against corrugated roofs. So I just want to make that clear. It looks exactly like steel. The nails are exposed, and that's all against city deals. But there is a roof in town that's been put on like that, and it looks just exactly like steel with exposed nails.
Which roof would that be, sir?
This on at the Thompson House on 4th Street. And it looks just exactly like steel. It looks like corrugated steel. Now, the city wants a roof where the nails are not exposed. That's a steel roof. And that costs about more than double what this roof is going to cost. It's a special order. They do not stock it. Its return would be almost impossible to take anything back if you did do it. What I would like to have is the regular steel roof exposed. It's priced the same as this stuff, but it looks a lot better. And it installs easier. And incidentally, the neighbors aren't really particularly happy with this type of roof. Now, the only thing I want to do is, we're going to go down tomorrow and we'll put that roof on if the city wants it. But the only thing is, it doesn't look as good and it doesn't go up quite as easy. I do not want to put this roof on, but I've got a permit to do it. So if the city wants this roof on here, it looks just like steel, it's corrugated, and the nails are exposed. So all I want to do is just ask the city if that's what they want, then I'm going to get it tomorrow. But I do have the permit for it.
I don't think it's up to us what we want. If it meets the needs and it passes the standards for the law, it's not our decision at that point. If you want something different than what's in the code, then you go to the planning commission, so.
Okay,
And that's
I
been
want to make
approved
that
by the
very
planning
clear that
commission?
we're not house by house approving what you put on there. If you don't like it,
I don't-
I'd encourage you to use your own decision-making.
No.
At that point,
I
so.
just don't believe in variances, and I'll put this on. This is what goes on. Thank you.
Just to answer your question, Commissioner Abraham, the metal is in the definition of sheet siding. Because that's not metal, it didn't fall under the definition of sheet siding. So that's why it was approved without having to go through any variance process. If it was part metal, then I would have to go through the variance process and the new criteria that you're pretty familiar with.
So when Dick came in and made his application and and you looked at it, it was just approved without having to go to the planning commission?
That's correct.
Okay. If you wanted to go with a corrugated metal that was different, you could do that through the planning commission.
Yeah, you could either.
So it's your, as Commissioner Delger has indicated, it's your choice. You can either put that roof on if you want, Dick, because that meets the criteria. It's, like you said, it's more expensive and maybe has harder to put on. I don't know. But if you want to go with the other one, it's, when you said, I was the one that said, I mentioned the word corrugated the last time. What I was saying is I'm not against corrugated, I'm against used corrugated materials going on property. If you buy new, I don't care if it's new, if it meets the standard and you do a variance or, then you can get that on there. I just don't want to see used material going on a roof. You want to putting something used inside a house, as far as lumber, that's a different matter, but not on the roof. So I think that's your choice. That's all I have, Your Honor.
There's no action required.
Nope.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We will move on then. The time is past 5:35, so I'm going to go down to old business number 2. We have a hearing scheduled for 5:35 regarding malt beverage license renewal hearing. I have received no comments, pro or con, on the malt beverage license applications. Anyone else have any questions, concerns?
Everybody is paid and. signed
Everybody's
and
in?
current?
Yes, the same number, same applicants as last year. Correct.
Okay.
Everyone is in. May recall that these malt beverage licenses become effective July 1st of each
Okay.
year. Alcohol licenses are January 1st.
If there are no questions,
You have to ask if anybody here. I suppose.
are there any questions from the audience regarding the malt beverage license renewals for 1 year? I guess we're ready for a motion.
I would make a motion to approve the malt beverage licenses as presented.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we accept the malt beverage license applications as presented for renewal. Any questions or speaking to that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Okay, we'll move back then to number 3, under appearances, acknowledgements, and correspondence. We have a letter from the Department of Revenue regarding transient vendors. I guess, Jeff, this is yours.
Yes, the letter was addressed to my office, just reminding me that this is the season where we might find transient vendors coming to town, and they are responsible to have a state sales tax license in order to do that, and they're also preparing and issuing a kind of a press release to the citizens, reminding them that they may be approached by these type of businesses, and they should ask for references and call the references and that type of thing. As a reminder, in order for a vendor to go door to door asking for services, or asking that they be allowed to provide services to the homeowners or products, they need, in addition to a state sales tax license, they need a city peddler's license, which is issued by the city commission. It's on the agenda, and it costs $25 per day in order to do that. So this is just for your information and the public's information, that this is the season, that there may be firms from outside Madison coming in looking to sell, typically maybe an asphalt type project, a parking lot, or roofing project, that type of thing.
Okay? Well, thank you. No action, really?
If you could just acknowledge the letter.
Okay?
Make a motion to acknowledge a letter from Department of Revenue regarding transient vendors.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we acknowledge the letter from the South Dakota Department of Revenue regarding transient vendors. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Moving to old business, number 1, discuss thrift store request. The City Commission received this request, what was it, 3 weeks ago, here at this meeting, and we had a thorough discussion of the presentation and of that, so I don't really think we need to go through the full request again. Do you, Mr. Jenks? I know that there are people here who wish to discuss this, but my procedure, my preference to proceed would be to have a motion and a second on the floor, and then we will open it for discussion. Anyone present who wishes to speak will be allowed to speak. We'll take time for everyone if you wish. Because the meeting is recorded, I would ask that you come forward to the table and use the microphone, because that's our recording microphone for the discussion. Because if we're speaking from different parts of the room, it just will not pick up that for the recording. So I guess I will open it to the commissioners here for any discussion or thoughts that you may have on this issue before we have a motion.
The one thing I would just like, if we do proceed with this, I would like to make it conditional on them raising all their money first. I don't want to purchase property and create a vacant lot that we end up sitting on again. At the time, what?
For a while.
For a while. If we do go down this road, you know, when they reach their funding goal and verify with probably Jeff's office, I would say, we just make it contingent on that if we proceed. That's all I,
Agree with that. Any other comments? I guess on that note, I would like to make a motion that's contingent on, the way I'd like to propose it is on proof of receiving a bank note, which would essentially mean that they've raised all their money to the point where a bank feels that it's a feasible enough project, that we at that time issue or transfer $150,000 to the Lake Area Improvement Corporation for purchase of buildings as well as demolition of buildings, new buildings and existing buildings for this project.
I'll second that.
Okay, you've heard the motion and the second regarding the thrift store request. Do you have that, Jeff, recorded, or will you?
Just to, yes.
Any clarification on the
I can always
motion?
get it through the tape, but just to kind of rephrase it, that you're moving to a transfer $150,000 to the Lake Area Improvement Corporation to be used for the purchase and demolition of properties at that location, contingent upon the city being provided proof of that the financing is available. Now, that could be, and I don't know if there are any bankers here, but typically that might be through a commitment letter from a bank. I think banks do that after they've looked at it and approved it. They'll issue sometimes a commitment letter notifying other people that the funding is available. Are you talking about something like that?
Exactly, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And just as a question of clarification, I assume that transfer would be from the second penny.
The transfer, I would propose the transfer would be $60,000 from the general fund. That would essentially be, and Jeff help me out here, that would be the fund that we remove from reserves for a building fund for the city gas pumps, essentially, that we no longer have. It had just been sitting there for years. And the other $90,000 would be from the second penny.
We talked about the gas thing a while back.
Yeah, earlier in the year, we released that money back into the general fund.
Okay, we're clear, Jeff, then on the motion?
Yes.
Okay. David? Okay?
Yes.
Okay, you've heard the motion and the second. Then on the proposal, on the thrift store request proposal and regarding their request for city funding. First of all, I would ask that if there is a representative of the thrift store committee who is present, who wishes to add anything to the proposal or further information from what we heard 3 weeks ago, I would invite that first. And then
Nothing has changed since our proposal.
Okay, that was Clark Sinclair stating that nothing has changed on their side since the proposal was initiated with the city. Okay. Next then, I will I will open it up to anyone who has a question or comment. We'll take one at a time. Please come forward and identify yourself. Just give us your name, and we'll be glad to hear from you.
I'm Brittany, and I'm the one running the business inside of one of the buildings that you guys want to demolish.
Brittany,
Petro.
okay, I just didn't know.
I'm just curious, like I'm working with a timeline that's non-existent pretty much right now. And I was told by, I believe his name is Jeff Bloom, that this isn't something that people vote on, that this will happen and my building will be demolished by August. And I have weddings that I'm doing this summer that are booked. I have clients that are counting on me to be there for them. And I don't know if I'm gonna have a business. And I'm just curious who's gonna pay for the startup costs of a new salon.
Do you own the building?
I own the business within the building, no, I was buying
But-
the building.
But you're not the building owner
No.
yet. You're in the process of buying the building.
I was in the process of buying the building with my ex-fiance as a contract for deed, and left that relationship, and we had an agreement, he was gonna sign the building over to me, and then, now that he found out that there could be money involved, it's no longer the agreement, so I'm a single mother trying to run this business, now I'm with, does that sound like a good idea to you guys when it comes down to my situation?
Who's the owner of the building? Jason Evans.
We told her that this was happening.
Yeah, and we apologize. And we didn't negotiate this, but ultimately, we can only, whoever is negotiating for the building can only negotiate with the owner.
Yeah.
And, I feel terrible for your situation, but that is a relationship between you and the owner of the building. That's something that only you two parties can work out. That's not something that we can get involved in. I don't know what contract you have with them or what's in place, but that's something that you really need to bring up with that individual. That's the only person that we can really discuss with about the legal terms of the building, unfortunately.
It's unfortunate, but your situation is the same as anybody that rents property. Property can be sold out from under you depending on what your lease rates are or your contract rates. That's just the risk you have.
So do you guys know the monetary value on what you're willing to offer the owner of the building?
That's-
Have you talked prices at all with them on that?
Yes,
And is that public information?
I believe so. We're issuing a check for it, so.
Or am I allowed to hear that amount then?
Can you, I'm not sure which dollar amounts on which building, I guess, so if
It's
you
not
guys
the
can
bar,
share
it's
that.
the one next to it.
Yeah. Is there anybody that has that exact dollar amount in there?
I think they're negotiating with them still.
Okay.
Or like an estimate of something, so I know something.
There again, I think, if this is a contract for deed, like you say, Dick, there obviously is an option to purchase that as a first right of refusal. If that's the case, that could happen, and would take this building out of the equation, but that's between the tenant and the person they have the contract.
The question is, I don't know whether you have any contract rights in the building, and that's
Right.
the issue. I mean, if you have, then if you're just there as a tenant, you're there as a tenant. If you have other actions against your former fiance, that's out of our control.
I'm just wondering what the approximate price is, because I just need to know that, I need something to go off of right now.
I think the best, in this particular case, you need to talk to the owner of the building. And that's,
The city's already paid for the building?
no, we haven't done anything at
But
this
you made
point.
an offer on it?
We haven't made an offer.
You've heard the motion that was made. It was to
Yeah.
transfer funds
No.
from the city to the LAIC for the purpose of demolition and
So in the
purchase.
meantime, it's gonna take me, how long to get into another location and be up and running for my clients that are counting on me to be there for them? Does that mean nothing to you guys, really?
It does, but realistically, this is a contract you made with somebody. In your contract, I don't know what it says, if you have
There's so
a.
many other locations in Madison, like that 10,000 square foot of Radio Shack that's just sitting there empty. I don't understand why that's not being used.
Well, I think the point is that there isn't anyone at this table that has involved in the negotiations on the purchase of that property. That is between the committee and the owner of the property. We're not involved at that.
Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Like, this is my dream. I had a
I
dream
know
to build
what
this
you're
salon.
saying, and we sympathize with your
And it's like
situation.
Monopoly, like, it doesn't matter to anybody, to any of you guys.
I think, yeah, we do care. There's just only so much we can
I know,
do.
but I need answers to know where I'm gonna be for my client.
We can't give you that answer tonight,
Do you know how?
and I don't know when we could give you that answer. It depends upon the negotiations with the property
Well,
owner and
And
the
I think it
committee.
depends more on the
Before we
fundraising
even go
issues.
that far, it's contingent upon them securing
Yeah,
their,
the funding.
their financing first.
I don't have time to be dragging my feet, though. I need to know where I'm gonna be working, because like I said, that's my business, and I don't have a second income.
Well,
And you don't have a lease that guarantees you,
I don't have a lease. Chris pulled it out from under me and is holding it over my head for $20,000. Or if I cancel the child support on my daughter, he'll give it to me.
Well, I think we heard your point, but that decision cannot be made here tonight and by us. That's it. I would prefer to move on. We hear your point, but we need to move on. Thank you.
I'm sure I'm not the only one who has something to say, though.
Okay, next person who wishes to speak. Okay, Mr. Anderson, please come forward.
Well, a few of the questions have been answered that I was going to ask. Has there been any kind of study, or has the city contacted any of these people that are going to be directly involved, how this is going to affect them? I mean, has it,
Which people are you
Okay.
speaking of?
to me, this is what, tax dollars? This is our tax dollar. General fund is probably tax dollars that is being used to build a thrift shop. Am I correct in saying that, or do I totally misunderstand what's going
I
on?
think that would be
that
correct.
would be
That'd be a
fair.
correct statement, yes.
That would be very fair.
Okay, from what I understand, and Gene, I really appreciate that day that you sat down and talked to me.
Okay, yes,
You
yeah,
took the
fine.
time, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
One of the questions I asked you, or one of the questions that was asked is, you mentioned that furniture. Clark had said that there's no place to sell used furniture in town here. And I said, well, I think Four Seasons.
No, wait a minute, you got that wrong. I did not say that there isn't any place to sell used furniture in Madison. There are a number of places in Madison that sell used furniture.
Okay.
The point being, Clark Sinclair at Montgomery Furniture does not sell used furniture, correct, Clark?
Right.
I'm correct in that statement. You do not sell used furniture. Okay, but there are places in Madison that do sell used furniture. I think the point that I made to you that day, Harlan, is that the city has been asked for a donation.
Okay.
The city will not be involved in owning the property or operating the business. This is not a city business
That part I did understand.
or a city operation.
But if it's in direct competition with these other businesses, then how can the city be involved in this? I'm giving money to them.
Well, that is a request that has been made by the committee, and we have committee representatives here tonight if they wish to speak to
But
that.
at the same token, has anybody taken and sat down with these people and said, what do you think the impact's gonna be on your business by this happening? Gail, she saw, I think, I walked into her store and looked at it that day and to see how much area she really has set aside for used furniture. By golly, I tell you, to me, it looked like it was probably about, maybe not quite a fourth of her store is used furniture.
Mhm.
So a fourth being, that would be quite an impact on her alone. And, you've got the Radio Shack, they sell clothing, used clothing or secondhand clothing. Unique Boutique, that business opened 2 months ago. One of the reasons that, I'm here is because I'm a property owner and I spent a lot of money. I spent a lot of time redoing that building to find out 2 months later, the city's gonna be involved in putting the same kind of business up that she stuck everything she had into her business. And it just doesn't make sense to me. It just, honest to God, does not make sense. Okay, let's say this thrift shop doesn't put these businesses out of business. Let's say it only takes 20% of their business. What do you think their profit is? Take 20% away, that's their profit. Okay, you take their profit away, why be in business? those are the kind of the things that probably should have been looked into, you know? Maybe ask these people, what kind of impact do you think it's gonna have?
But Harlan, the people at this table did not initiate this project. This was initiated by a committee
I understand
of
that.
community citizens,
I understand
not
that.
commissioners and the mayor sitting here at this
But you're
table.
giving them money to do this. If my tax dollars are going to do this,
They have requested a contribution.
oh.
They have also requested a contribution from Lake County.
So,
Lake County Commissioners
contribution,
had the same. As I said,
that's
the
how-
city does not own the
that's how-
property.
Well, it's still tax dollars. Am I incorrect or correct?
Yeah, you are correct.
Yes,
You are correct.
Okay.
yes, our
Whether it's a
contribution is,
donation or
that's,
what-
right,
what
that's,
the heck it is.
I guess one thing is
Maybe
we
I'm
don't.
just confused on what
No,
you're
no, no,
looking
and I wouldn't say confused, no. You know, we don't believe this is gonna be the exact same thing as what is out there. The consignment
You're right.
stores, it is gonna be a different business. It's gonna be a different type of business.
How many square foot is this?
Can you give me
18,000.
18,000?
Square feet.
This thrift shop's gonna be 18,000 square feet?
Well,
Probably about 40 or 40+% of it will be a working area for sorting and cleaning and pricing and doing all of that. When we look at other thrift stores like Goodwill and,
Where's that, in Sioux Falls?
we've looked at a number of different places.
They got 18,000 square foot buildings? And it's in towns the size of Madison?
Bigger than that.
In
Yeah,
towns of
bigger.
Madison? They got thrift shops, 18,000 square foot in the size of town of Madison is?
It has nothing
Where?
else.
Where, what town?
I don't know
This is
if
a
there's an
small town.
18,000
any.
square foot, exactly an 18,000 square foot, I don't know that.
How can you possibly, okay, how much revenue has to be brought in to operate an 18,000 square foot building? That'll kind of tell you. How much, what kind of money they're gonna bring in. I would say respectively, not knowing, but Four Seasons probably does 20,000 a month. Sharon does about 6,000 to 7,000 a month. I don't really know what the Radio Shack does. You know, they might do 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 a month.
well,
That's all the business, that's all
yeah.
the business.
Well, Harlan,
How
I,
much
Well,
it is?
and you know, I don't mean to get argumentative, but not all the business is going to these businesses, and what we're trying to, or they're trying to attract is a different type. I've had a number of people tell me that this is a type of store they do shop in that isn't here in town. It's Sioux Falls, they go to Sioux Falls to go to this.
You've talked to a number of people in this town that go to Sioux Falls that would support an 18,000 square foot building?
They're not supporting an 18,000 square foot building. They're supporting a thrift store. And
Well, there's a difference between a thrift store and a building they're building 18,000 square feet. Like somebody had mentioned, why don't they take the old Montgomery building and do that?
And that.
I don't get it. I don't get it. There's more to this picture than this.
well, Harlan, have you studied the fact sheet that the committee has distributed?
No,
I
I
think there's someone here
distributed-
tonight with the fact sheet. I think you need, we need to kind of move on to others. We get your point. Okay, your point is that this is a bad idea.
Maybe I'm not done.
Well, how much time do you need? I'll give you 5 more minutes.
How many?
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Then we have to
Well,
move on to
I would like
others.
to then I guess I don't get to conclude and ask other questions that I had. So I would like to can I make a motion?
No,
Okay, can I ask you to make a motion?
no. Well, if someone at this table wants to make a motion, they
There's a
can.
motion on the floor, and that's the motion that needs to be disposed of. If someone from the public wants to ask you to make a motion, you can take it under your own consideration and certainly make one at some point if you
But
want.
we also can't limit his time, can we?
You can absolutely limit time.
Without a
Yes.
motion?
Yes, without a motion.
I would ask, Dick, will you make a motion that they table this for 30 days?
Well, Harlan, you called me about this ostensibly about another subject and wanted to talk about this.
Right.
And I told you flat out, and I talked to the members of the committee, that I'm not gonna participate in
Okay,
this decision.
that's.
And I wanna say why.
And
And the deal is because I represent, have a long-standing history of representation of both the owners of both buildings that are in question.
Right.
And I'm not gonna be second-guessed on that I was
Yeah. I
passing
understand.
city money to buy somebody else's building.
I respect that.
So I'm not,
I respect that.
and that's, everybody knows it. That's why I'm
Then
not
Nick,
voting.
would you?
I don't have a problem with tabling the motion. I'm also in an ethical quandary here. I don't believe I should vote on this either. Which at point triggers another,
I was just-
another situation where we're not going to have a quorum to vote.
I guess that's what I'd like to see is table for 30 days. That way, these people can put everything they have together. Lord have mercy, this young gal over here, you know, she's losing her business. Wow. I think 30 days would be appropriate to see if these people might have the right to be able to, you know, not have this just dropped on their lap, you know.
Can I?
I'm not, I'm done in about 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harlan.
One of the concerns that was brought up.
This is,
last week-
okay, this is Jerry Johnson, who is a member of the committee.
I think one of the issues that was brought up last week was a concern, not from anybody here that has talked to any of us on the committee, but in general, on a different subject of the thrift store, was our lack of providing a lot of information to the public. We were working on that at our last meeting last Thursday, and we do plan on providing a lot more information that probably a lot of these people would appreciate and would understand the direction this is going and how many other individuals and groups this would serve other than just a thrift store. So saying that, you know, I don't think we want to put the commission in a dilemma of providing funding for this. And I look at it as a completely different way of funding. It isn't a donation. To me, what we're trying to provide here, or what we hope the city would be providing, is a chance for urban renewal in downtown Madison, which, as everyone knows, is sorely needed, and has been a topic of a lot of conversation over the last few years about downtown improvement, retail development, and that whole facet of what's going on down here. And that's why we felt it important that we ask the city for help in providing that. And it has nothing to do with lining anyone's pockets or anything like that. This is for the good of the community. That's how we approach this, and that's why we approach the city commission. Saying that, if this is tabled for 30 days, we completely understand, and that will let us have an opportunity to educate everyone. Now, I'm speaking for myself on that, not the rest of the committee. But also, I've sat in your seat and understand the questions that have been brought up and need to be answered.
Okay, Jerry, thank you.
If there is an effort
Next.
to rescind the current motion at any point, it will take a two-thirds vote.
It will take what?
A two-thirds vote.
2/3.
You could move to table the motion.
At this
It'd
point.
take 2/3 to take it off the table next time.
Correct.
So if you were to table for 30 days, or you could defer it for 30 days.
Yes.
Is the city gonna donate some money to me so I have a new building to start up in them?
I can't hear your question. I didn't get your
I
question.
said, is the city gonna donate some money to me somehow so I have a business to work out of? Is there enough left in your guys' pocketbooks to do that for me?
We can't, we're not answering that question tonight.
That's fine.
There's
So
all
what-
these
what I
empty
would-
buildings on Main Street. Why don't you know, the people that want to start a new business, help
Okay,
them start
one at a
business.
time, please. If you wish to speak, come to the table and use the microphone, because we can't have conversations going on all over the room. Your question? Comment? Thank you, Gail. This is Gail Barger.
Mayberry.
Mayberry.
Anyway,
Sorry.
same thing. Anyway, there's empty buildings downtown right now. I mean, I don't understand. I cannot see that a thrift store is gonna make it in a small town like this. A donation, another one. I mean, my store's been in business for 21 years. And, I mean, why put something in town that we already have? It doesn't make sense to me, and use our dollars to do it, and it doesn't make any sense. I found since May 1st, since it came out, I found 2 people, one yesterday and one today, that was actually thought it would maybe be a good idea. There's hundreds of people out there that think you people are crazy. It's not just
The one thing,
it's just not them.
I'm not arguing your
There's
point there.
hundreds of people that just,
If I could just speak to that to a minute, and really I'm not speaking to your specific point, but to the hundreds of people. I'll be honest, I'm somewhat upset with the community. I haven't had one person reach out to give me their opinion, and it's really difficult to sit up here and vote for the people when they don't. And so that isn't really, I'm not arguing against your point at all, but I really wish, we don't get enough feedback from the community, and it's
well, I get
very,
it all
very.
because I'm in that store. I get it all. Everybody comes in
But
here
unfortunately,
and
I'm the one who's got to
wants my
vote,
opinion,
so,
you
and
know?
and we need to talk, because I haven't heard from you either, or, again, when I say anybody, I mean anybody except maybe the committee. Nobody's reached out to me,
I didn't know.
and I'm,
That's why I'm here.
it makes it difficult, it makes it.
I don't think anybody has really reached out to the people that it's gonna affect.
Nobody knew where to go.
The commissioners that vote on it, you knew that we're the ones gonna make the decision, you know where to
That's why we're
go.
waiting
So-
for this meeting.
You hear
Yeah.
about a meeting, and here we are.
And that I do appreciate, because that's the other side of the coin. If you do want to get a hold of us, this is the best place to talk to us. So yes, you are absolutely correct. Showing up at a meeting, we've had 2 this month that it's full, and
Yeah.
that's kind of a
Maybe
record
you
for
had
us.
better
That's
find another
fantastic.
building for her and give her $150,000 so she can keep her business.
And Peter, what is she, you're a single mom?
Anyway, I'm surprised there's not more people here because I hear opinions all day long in my store. You know, us people that are in that business hear it. We hear it all the time. And like I said, one person yesterday, one person today was, oh, yeah, it might be a good idea. There's people outraged with it. No, they're not at this meeting, but because you're using the taxpayers' money to put a thrift store when, darn it, we already have one and it's a good one, you know?
Where is
Why take our business
where's the
away?
thrift store in Madison?
My store. Hello? Come on. Come on. Oh, wow. I give items away to people all the time. I mean,
A community thrift store
I know,
operation.
The churches come to me, we buy people beds, everything.
Right.
I mean,
You are in business, Gail. You have a business to make a profit. A
yeah.
community thrift store operation is a non-profit operation.
You have to pay somebody to run the place.
Somebody's gonna take.
How many thrift stores are there in Sioux Falls, South Dakota?
Oh, it doesn't matter, there's 300,000 people there. 6,000 people.
How many thrift stores are in Brookings?
There's 30,000 people.
Watertown?
If you go to the Goodwill, you won't find a lot of good stuff there because the nice thrift stores, they do very well in Brookings. But,
Cindy
you know, they're
Danum,
consignment shops.
there's a community thrift store in Howard, South Dakota, I'm told. Is that correct, Cindy?
18,000 square feet.
No, it's a consignment shop, I think.
Just like my consignment shop, I
Yeah.
checked it out.
Yeah,
before I
there
went
is,
online.
yeah.
Well, Interlakes Community Action apparently operates the store in Howard. What is it, Cindy?
There is a consignment store on Main Street in Howard, and then we have the thrift store also.
Okay, so there's 2 of them.
How many square foot is that?
It's a smaller building.
Yeah.
About how big?
You know, you're asking the wrong person to figure out square footage, because it's a
Half a
smaller,
block?
no, it's a smaller building in in Howard.
When community action runs these businesses, how does the pay schedule work? Is it community action is, the employees, are they paid by the taxpayers?
The thrift store would be a business, of course.
Okay, but
Okay.
community action is like the ones that put furnaces and stuff in, right?
Different programs, yeah,
Okay,
as you know.
okay, so now those are paid by the taxpayers, right?
The weatherization staff are.
Okay, so now if you go to the thrift store, and the thrift store don't make enough money, where does the money come to pay them?
From the community, or it will.
I think.
From the community.
I think
From the
the
people that
business,
use the
the business
computers.
plan, excuse me, Cindy, I think the business plan that was proffered to the commission was, because that question was asked by me before I knew where they were going with this thing, and I was still trying to get information on it. Rod, is that it would be run as a standalone business. This taxpayer injection of money for acquiring land and demolition, getting up is a one-time deal. At least that was the way it was presented to us, because the people involved had a business plan. They figured out their costs, their overhead, their projections, and they would run the thrift store as a business. It would pay for itself. It would run itself. That's the way it was represented to me, at least. If I'm misstating that, let me know, but that's the way it was presented to me.
Not to cut anyone short
And they
here,
would
but
have to do-
I think all we've done tonight is open up a whole line of questions, and there's a lot of information to go around yet.
And I think the other, and both sides.
I
the
think
other side
both
has already
sides, I think
said-
there's a lot of
yeah.
questions coming from both sides that I think some time, if we table this for 30 days, to give everyone a chance
Sure.
to get their side out and.
Is the LAIC financing this?
No.
They have no role in this at all?
There would be, one of the buildings is theirs, one of the buildings
so they are involved.
that they would donate. Yeah, well, it wouldn't be financing, I guess the way I was thinking of it, they wouldn't be bankrolling it, you
Okay,
might say. They-
When you deal with the LA, and believe me, I have dealt with them, Ready, LAIC. From what my understanding is, the reason for that money to become available, which is a 3%, is if it creates jobs. How many jobs is this thrift store going to create for the city to be involved? How many, has anybody got a figure on how many people they're just gonna employ? So, and how is the city gonna get their money back? Their donation.
Taxes, I mean, that would be the sales
Taxes
tax
on what?
on the items that are sold. Everything that was sold would be just like any other retail item in the city. It's a nonprofit entity that would own the building, but it would be a,
So when you are saying donation, you really mean donation, don't you?
It's an injection, it's an injection of cash to start a
Yeah.
building.
Now, all the stuff that is brought into that store, thrift store, is donated,
yes.
Yes.
100%.
The plan was to operate it as a Goodwill, very similar to a Goodwill. Completely-
everything would be sold
It-
out of there.
Not
Some could
items
be
on
donated.
Be
consignment,
in
donated items.
competition with a consignment store like Sharon's or Gale's. They take a consignment in, and they get 50/50. So what you're saying is that the thrift store can, in theory, sell for half the price of these guys, because they don't have to pay anything out.
If they get people to give them the stuff, yeah.
Well,
That's the difference.
Well,
Some people
this
wanna-
would be a-
Some people want to give to a consignment store, and some people want to, look, I don't take my clothes to the secondhand store, I take it down to the Salvation Army. That's my choice. If I wanted to take it out and put it on a rack or have a rummage sale, I could do that.
Right.
That's your choice. That's a choice. I'm not,
No, you misunderstood
there's no,
what I'm saying.
Carl, I understand exactly what you're saying. There's an effect because their cost is less because they don't have that in there.
Right.
But that's the difference between a thrift store and a consignment store.
Okay.
It's just the nature of they can
Okay.
run side by side.
I want to give other people a chance to speak. Mr. Quaker has his hand up. Okay.
My name is Dean Quaker. Say, don't we have a thrift store in one of the churches in town here where people donate their stuff and poor people can pick it up free of charge? Am I wrong in that?
I don't think it's open today per se, but yes, up until the flood. believe there was
I mean,
one.
they have-
I don't think they sell anything. I think they give it away, don't
Right,
they?
that's what I say.
And-
So the poor people are taken care of that way.
Well, they had also provided a mechanism for that.
Not furniture.
No, I'm not.
No, it's just clothing. The St. John,
But-
you're talking about the St. John's
Right,
Church clothing
right.
closet, right? Mhm.
Isn't that really a thrift store?
No, it's not a store. They take donations
Well, I
and
mean,
they sort out the stuff and they give it away,
Right, I understand.
as I understand that. Nothing is bought and sold.
And
It doesn't,
Another thing, is this building gonna be no real estate taxes on it?
If it were owned
If
by.
it's owned by the Madison,
Okay.
Community Foundation.
Community
Empty lot
Foundation, it would
now,
be-
There's no tax generating.
So there's no tax sales.
There wouldn't be
No
property
property
tax if the Community Foundation owned it. It's a,
I got 3 buildings you can buy and tear down and give away.
That's all I've got.
okay, thank you, Dean.
I think Commissioner Abel had a good
yeah,
idea.
back to my point of tabling this and for 30 days to let everybody see their fact sheet and then formulate their opinions and get everything put together. I think that's,
Is that a motion?
yeah, I would move to table this for 30 days.
do that, I mean,
Yes.
okay.
Can you
Is there a
guys
second?
get your, all right, thank you.
Is there a second for the motion to table for 30 days?
Can I second that if I seconded the first one?
Yes, sir.
I would like to second that and give these
Okay, we have a
people
motion
chance.
and a second to table the request of the thrift store contribution for 30 days. Any further speaking on that motion?
I just would point out, and I would ask David again, but I think procedurally, it does take 2/3 vote to take a table motion off the table
Is that
to,
4 out of 5?
yeah, no, 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Yep.
David, am I
Or no,
entitled
4
to
to 5.
vote? We're all-
Two-thirds of the voting
You can
members.
vote to table.
We're all entitled to vote to table?
Yes,
And to bring it back off the table.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
yeah, that's just a procedure motion to
Yes.
to defer.
Okay, any further speaking on the motion to table? All in favor of the motion to table for 30 days, please say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion is carried. There's no further action
Yep.
Thank you so
on the
much.
main motion.
Yeah, Carry it's a great discussion. It's a good discussion.
There's no further action on the other one.
Come to the budget hearings.
I think
We'd
it's
love to fill
tabled
these
this
chairs for budget hearing.
That'd be great.
You want to come to the budget hearing? No.
That's all we need on that. I'm gonna move on? Okay.
Nothing further on that one?
Nothing further.
Nope.
Okay. Moving to new business. We have number 1, we have to discuss the flood and citywide cleanup. I have asked Fred to prepare some information. We have had since May 4th, 5th, whatever, we have had quite a big load of work to take care of in this community. And I asked Fred if he had some information to share. I would like to hear that. And so Fred, you're on. And you have a handout here too that I guess we'll have to share the handout here.
Yeah, we've started compiling information, matter of fact, about the 6th of May when we had the flood issue going on. During that week, we were actually, the week of the 7th through the 11th was supposed to be our citywide cleanup week. We delayed that a week so that we would be able to pick up a lot of damaged property and goods and stuff that folks had during the flood. What I've handed out is a complete list of everything that was actually done and the cost and labor associated with that particular week and the following week and a half from the citywide cleanup. So the first week that we spent picking up flood damaged items from everyone in town, we ended up, our cost for that was almost $38,000 for that week's worth of work. That included labor and equipment and also the impact to our restricted use site. The second week and a half was donated, or basically designated as our citywide cleanup. That week and a half, we spent about $54,000 in picking up additional things that folks wanted to get rid of for that week. Some of that was a little bit of flood damage stuff because it took folks about a week to kind of regroup and start yanking hot water heaters and things like that out of their furnaces and stuff out of their basements that were flooded. That first week, we started work the night of the 6th at about midnight. As far as the city staff, we ended up barricading off all the affected streets that were flooded out. We rescued 7 people at 2 different locations with the front end loader where we couldn't get any other equipment in there to get them, and the flood hit them so quick they couldn't get out. So we had, I think we had a single mom, and there's probably 4 or 5 kids, and then St. John's, around St. John's Church, we had another couple folks we picked up and got out of the flooded area. To date, just the flood debris, during that week, we hauled 390 ton of debris out to the restricted use site. The following week and a half, we hauled 1,073 tons for citywide cleanup. So there's quite a bit of debris out there that we also took about 2 years off of our restricted use site life cycle. And so we're going to have to start looking at digging a new pit out there to actually, here in the next year or so, to accommodate future cleanup efforts and any disasters we may have in town. What you have in front of you is the cost breakdown, the labor, equipment, and everything. This was done with our new PubWorks software that you folks approved this last budget cycle. We had training last week for 3 days. Roxy spent about 3 hours, I think, putting this information together. It is very, very detailed if you want to sit down and actually look at everyone's name that's involved in the flood cleanup or the citywide cleanup. So there's a huge amount of information that we've compiled so that we actually have every nickel and dime that we've spent on the last 2.5 weeks. So, if there are any questions, I'll attempt to answer those. The grand total on that's almost $92,000 in 2.5 weeks that was spent either.
And that includes the citywide cleanup
That citywide
effort.
cleanup, yeah, 2.5 weeks, from the 7th of May until last Thursday,
Very good.
last Wednesday. So that 2.5 week period.
It's good to kind of include those because citywide flood damage, it was all kind of a mix there for a while, so.
Yeah, it was. It was quite a bit of things that folks lost during the flood time, and then additionally, I think the following week was a little bit more of that, plus things that folks decided to get out. And this, the one thing this doesn't include, I think we picked up in excess of 700 used tires. The cost to get rid of those, to have those ground up, is probably going to add about $6,000 to this, because that's what it costs us annually to grind those tires up and get them out of our restricted use site. So it's quite an expensive endeavor.
Still no market for those, huh?
No.
I wish there were.
Yeah. Yeah, but you do.
We gotta put our heads
Well,
together, Nick.
Fred, to you and your crew, Public Works, all of our city departments, law enforcement, the list goes on and on. City, county, search and rescue, fire department, REACT, you know, Don Thompson is here, our county emergency management director. It was a tremendous job by all involved, and I want you and all of our citizens to know that we deeply appreciate this and extend our thanks to you for a great job.
Thank you. I think the department and the city and Don and the county and everybody just kind of came together. It was pretty seamless. I mean, at times you kind of wondered who was running the wagon there for a while, but it was everybody knew what they needed to do, and it went down pretty
Well, Fred,
quick,
if you're at the Thursday night meeting, and I hope you can be there briefly, just bring that very brief report. I would like to hear that for the general public again Thursday night. That is information that we all need to understand and share.
Mr. Mayor, if
Yes,
I could
sir.
ask a question. Roxy, if that's okay, Fred.
No, please.
I see all the codes under equipment. So you've got all your equipment just coded. Is that
Every piece of equipment.
like a 61? Is that a truck? I see 61 a lot. I just assume that's the truck, and it's got the hourly So you rate all your
We
equipment?
try to rate it, this is using, Fred and I sat down and figured out our internal and external rate of use or fee.
Those,
And
you know, the
there's also
labor
the-
cost is pretty self-explanatory. I can look at that and see who all worked, and I was just looking at equipment. Material cost,
Material cost is what we have done, it's, you'll see on there, was it Streets 306, that's actually landfill space.
okay, that's, I was wondering because I didn't know what we were using for material.
Yeah, it's a,
That's the landfill space, because normally people are charged $7.50 per cubic yard when they dump there, so we figured it was only right that all of this is taking up space.
We figure out what it cost us in revenue.
Right.
Okay, so that's most, is that most of the material?
That's most of it. The $400 for the water treatment plant, that was a
Sand?
flow meter board
All right.
that got wet. And then Ted's, in the Parks Division, he's got a park bench and then some playground, or some mulch.
Okay.
yeah, what they call
Okay.
softball around all the.
That's
playground
all the
equipment.
question I had. I appreciate, I don't want to delay this. I was just curious about those two items.
Equipment, every county, or every city vehicle has
Yep,
a
I see
city
that.
number, and it just plug those in.
It's good stuff.
It is, and
Item-
it gives us that
Don't do
actual
this for
cost
Heinemeyer's
accounting.
gratification.
that-
He's gonna be out of here. You had this thing
Yeah,
before,
so
we'd
don't
be having
mind
these
me.
reports forever.
Well, you know,
Been working for 28 years to get stuff like this.
Yeah, he wants to know where every bean is spent.
Hired the right person.
there you go. Yeah, I just want to congratulate and thank Roxy. She's really taken kind of the lead on this, and after 2.5 days of training on the software and stuff, she put this report out, and even our trainer, who was the president of Pub Works, was thoroughly amazed that she actually put this together and had it out before he left town. So he'd not seen that before, but she did a fabulous job on this. So. And I think there's more things we can put together with this so that you have a more accurate account of where our tax dollars are going, so.
Good work. Well, if there's no other questions or comments on that, we'll move on to new business number 2, that being the bills for approval and the bills for ratification.
I'll move to approve the bills.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we approve and ratify the bills as presented. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion is carried. New business number 3, plumber's license application, Amert Construction, and this is Bob Showbro, correct?
Yep.
Robert Showbro.
He's working for Amert Construction now.
Okay.
Yeah, I wondered, they never had one
Bob
before.
has a state license. He does have a license.
Yeah. Amert's never had one before, have they?
No.
No.
Okay.
No. We approached them about this, knew that he was working, found out he's working for Amert, so then they came in and made the application. We verified that he is working for them.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the plumber's license for Amert Construction, Bob Schroebel.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we approve the plumber's license application, Amert Construction, Robert Showbro. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. New business number 4, sidewalk builder's license application, Cassuth Masonry of Ramona.
Make a motion to approve the sidewalk builder's license for Tom Kazut.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we approve the sidewalk builder's license application from Cassuth Masonry of Ramona. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Business number 5, personnel recommendations. Looks like pretty much what, community center and
Yeah.
pool.
Yep.
Okay.
Summer help.
Make a motion to approve personnel recommendations.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we approve the personnel recommendations as presented. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. New business number 6, to discuss the creation of a joint city-county committee regarding flood prevention. We have heard from several people, mostly in the flood-affected areas of the, let me pass those down, last couple of weeks here at the commission meeting, and We have talked about different approaches, what may be the next step, what may not be the next step. We're not sure. I had a concept on this, and I said at last week's meeting that I would be the first one to step forward and offer to meet with the county commissioners regarding where do we go from here. I think that's the overriding question. We have had requests from people, we need a plan of action. What is the plan of action? What do you plan to do? And of course, if you've suffered loss and property damage and those types of things, those are things that are uppermost in your mind. I guess just for purposes of tonight, and I'm not asking for a decision. Maybe you want to think about this for a while. One thought that I had is that to consider an appointment, and what the name of it is, a joint task force on flood prevention and protection. 8 persons could be appointed to this committee. 2 members of the Lake County Commission, 2 members of the City Commission, the Lake County Emergency Management Director, Lake County Highway Superintendent, Madison City Engineer, Madison Public Works Director. That's just for starters. It could be 1 person from each commission. I think you have more flexibility with a smaller committee, a working committee, that will kind of keep addressing, looking at the issues. And then as advisory members of a committee, you could have, of course, the sheriff, our police chief, fire department, REACT, search and rescue, whether it's our state's attorney, city attorney, representatives of the relief agencies, or any others as needed, as advisory members, as they would meet and kind of keep the program moving forward. Number 2, the purpose would be to review any and all issues associated with the recent flood in Madison and the surrounding area in Lake County, and that's why I'm proposing that we consider inviting Lake County Commission to join with us in this approach. Make recommendations for changes or improvements as appropriate to whether it's the Lake County Commission or the Madison City Commission. 3, review past studies for flood protection and prevention, such as the 1995 Banner study, and make recommendations for updates, revisions, including cost estimates. We're having quite a different cost picture. Number 4, review sources of funding, whether it be local, state, federal. Is there anything out there for flood prevention and mitigation? To seek advice from any other appropriate group, whether it be First Planning District or the East Dakota Water Conservancy District or others as needed regarding funding for, flood mitigation and flood issues and those types of things, be they grants or whatever, low-interest loans and those types of things. Those are things that would need to be explored, with the proviso that no city or county funds would be committed or expended without the approval of the governing bodies involved. And then, finally, the task force should meet as often as needed before August 15th, for example, to make any recommendations for projects under funding to the respective commissions for consideration in the 2013 budgets of the city and county. The county is a little bit ahead of us on their budget consideration. I think they might finish, a couple of weeks ahead of us before September 1st. But if we're going to have anything in our 2013 budget for flood prevention, mitigation, protection, those types of things, we need to address the program, what's needed in the program, and then to provide for budgeting for the program, be it culverts, bridges, I don't know. Or do we go all the way back, for example, to the detention dam concepts that were advanced in the 90s. I think the task force would have a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. All meetings would be open meetings and open to the public, so the public would have input at every step of the way. Notice of all meetings should be posted and distributed to the news media, and the task force would be encouraged to seek public input and make regular progress reports to each commission as needed or requested. Now, that's kind of the near term. How long would this joint committee, or whatever you want to call it, I just called it a joint task force, be in effect? I guess it could be in place as long as we felt it's needed. I think we've seen enough issues and topics regarding this whole thing that none of us at this table have the time and the resources to advance. We need to depend on our staff and people to, if we're going to keep addressing these. And I know, for example, the 1995 Banner study, it was given to us in January of 1995. I suppose, Chad, it took about a year to prepare this report, didn't it, by Banner? You have reviewed it. Chad found an extra copy. It's 80 pages long. It is a drainage basin storage and soil erosion prevention study prepared for the City of Madison and Lake County by Banner Associates out of Brookings in January of 1995. Now, there's a lot of good stuff in here. There's a lot of things that were done that could be removed or taken out, you know, but when we get to the detention dam and so forth, and I think that one step we could discuss is the possibility of asking Banner for a price quote to update this study. There's a lot of useful information in here. And Jeff, you said this study was paid for by grant funds?
Well, grant or FEMA funds.
Grant
Yes,
or
the
FEMA
first-
funds,
the
so.
first study, I know this, that was updated, Chad and I looked at that today, it was updated in like 1997.
And I know Chad has given a lot of thought to this. Don Thompson has a copy of this over at the courthouse. We could only find one extra copy here at City Hall, but I'd be very happy to make copies for everybody. And I guess my thought is here tonight, we don't need a decision, but if you're interested in this approach, I'd be very happy to visit with the county commissioners, and we could have one other commissioner meeting with me. Maybe we could have two. Their next meeting is on Thursday, June 7th. Because of the Tuesday election, they're going to meet on Thursday, June 7th. And I would request time on the agenda to get on the agenda with the county to at least invite them to explore this concept. So this ties in then with the next item on the agenda. That would be to authorize the mayor to attend the county commission meeting on June 7th regarding the flood issues and their possible interest in this type of an approach. I guess that's where I'm at. I guess that's kind of part of my job, is to throw out ideas here to move forward, because we have a lot of people, we've heard from a lot of people, and they want us to kind of keep this on the table, and maybe this is one way we can do it. And I think it should involve the county, because you have seen Don distributed that that general water flow map. Did you all see that? And here's little old Madison right in the middle of Lake County, and we got all of these drainage areas that come right into town from the north and the west and into Lake Herman and so forth. And anything you see on this map in red is going to end up through Madison one way, shape, manner, form, or another, you know. And so I think there should be some real interest here on the part of the county. And how much, I don't know. We'll just have to ask. When it comes to funding, we'll have to cross those decisions too if we get to do some funding. But I'd like to assure the people that have expressed their interest to me and to all of you and to this group in this room over the last two weeks, and people have also been to the Lake County Commission meeting and expressed their interest on this. And so I guess for what it's worth, I'd be willing to discuss it with the county commissioners and see, then we could bring it back to this table. If there's sufficient interest, we'll see what the best way to move forward.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I was impressed that I got this. I mean, we must have got this shortly after the flood, within a matter of a day or two. As I recall, it was emailed
Well,
to me.
I just say, it was just, you know, thinking.
Yep.
thinking
And I guess
ideas.
I read it then, and I've reread it since then, and I think it's a great starting point. I mean, whether it needs to be modified or changed, that's not the point. The point is, I think it's a great starting point. And with that, I'll move to authorize the mayor to attend the county commission meeting on June 7th to discuss flood issues and also the idea of possible creation of a committee to study them jointly with the county.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second then to authorize the mayor to attend the county commission meeting on June 7th to discuss further work on flood issues and also discuss the possible creation of a joint city-county working committee regarding the flood issues and flood prevention. Any questions or speaking on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. So if one of you has an interest, I'll try to get a morning time because they try to be through at noon, and I'll notify, and if one of you can attend with me, I'd be very happy to have
Yeah, I
your
can go that.
participation.
I can go.
Okay?
Yeah, just get me the time when
I'll
you,
let
when you know when it's
I'll let you know
scheduled.
the
They're pretty
time, and
close.
like I said, we could have one more
Thanks for going.
with me, so. Okay, with that, then, that completes the items of new business. Under announcements, I just wanted to.
Did you have something you wanted to? Yep.
Which one? The plan, the flood plan? Oh.
Oh.
Sure.
On what now?
It's just of your plan.
Oh, okay. Keep in mind, this is proposed now.
Yeah.
There's nothing official in place. It's just an idea. I just want to remind everyone of the public forum, which we are organizing in connection with Don Thompson and Lake County and the City Commission for Thursday, May 31st, 7 p.m. at the 4-H Center in South Egan. And that will be a public forum. Anyone and everyone is invited to attend. Hopefully we'll have a full house, and we will invite the general public. We've heard a lot of information from people that had flood damage and within the floodplain and floodway and that type of thing. I have not heard a lot of comment from people in other areas as such, as to where they would like to go and what they would like to do, or what they think we should be doing. And I've asked Fred to also kind of tally up kind of our routine maintenance work that we try to do every year in connection with the creek areas and creek cleaning and those types of things. So Fred is committed to being there, and I believe Ryan is going to be there too. Jeff, I think you had indicated you could come. So we'll take as much public input. There won't be any lengthy speeches. Don is going to give a short recap. He's prepared an excellent summary of his personal observations of what happened during that flood scene and after. And I will be moderating the session, and what I have to say will be very small. Don will have a few comments to make at the beginning, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A for the general public, comments and that type of thing, and hopefully we're done by 8:30. Don. So Don, thanks for your help on that, and we look forward to a productive meeting Thursday night to get kind of a full view, full airing of all people's works there. So that's a long announcement. I have no other information to share, so unless someone else has something else, let us.
I'll move to adjourn.
Ready to adjourn. Motion is made and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no.
I have a person.